Hello and welcome to the Nightcap, life behind the Michelin star. Or should I say day cap today? This is the first time we've ever done one in the afternoon. Afternoon drinking.
It's never too early for fizz, is it?
Absolutely, mate. This is a lock-in here where we candidly discuss and debate all things culinary over a few drinks. As always, we are sat upstairs at Salt Restaurant in the heart of Stratford-upon-Avon, Shakespeare's home in Warwickshire. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. Service is continuing downstairs. Let me introduce myself and what we're all doing here together. My name's Simon Alexander. I'm a podcaster, producer and daytime cooking show contestant. To my left, playing host, Michelin star, head chef and owner of Salt, Mr. Paul Foster.
How you doing? You all right,
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. And our guest today is Michelin star chef and owner of SY23 in Aberystwyth and 2022 GBM banquet finalist, Mr. Nathan Davies. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers. Absolute pleasure. How was lunch, firstly? First time at Salt, right?
Yeah, lunch was lovely, and thank you for doing lunch legs. I'm going to shoot off after this to get back for dinner service. So,
well, we really wanted you on, and that's why we sort of it was a bit of a weird one. But
it's a bit of an express lunch.
It was class. It was absolutely made up because we thought we weren't going to be able to do it, and you guys fitted us in and put us up last night as opposed to tonight. So
pleasure. What was
exactly? We want you guys here, so we do it properly, not over Zoom. It works much better for us.
Yeah.
But
nice to get out.
First time in this restaurant. What do you make of the? We've just been talking Refurbs. Actually, you've just had one. Just had one.
Yeah.
Bloody nightmare, was it? Both of you?
Yeah, fucking nightmare. It's horrible. But I was stupidly doing the kitchen and the restaurant together at the same time. Which was a challenge. I'm glad I did, because the kitchen was in absolute shit state and the restaurant was desperate. If I'd have done one without the other, it would have looked just totally imbalanced. Yeah. So we just had to throw what money we had at it.
You know what? So many restaurants as well you go to, and the dining room's ace. And we've all worked in those places where the dining room's beautiful and everything looks plush, and then you go in the kitchen, you're like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
So when it's the chef doing the refurb, it's normally kitchen's got to work, hasn't it? And
exactly. I think as a chef owner as well, you do both. You understand the importance of the restaurant more, and you obviously want the kitchen good. But if not a chef owner at all, they're going to take shortcuts in the kitchen and not put as much effort into it. Yeah, saying that, I've had a shit kitchen for 5 years.
It was higgledy-piggledy, wasn't it? As well?
Oh, it was terrible. I was telling Nathan earlier, the stove, because I had that slab of metal I've told you about. The stove, the back legs were gone, so it was on the piss. So you put butter in a pan and it'd go to the end. So it was completely unlevel, gas leak and everything. Yeah.
It's like a handicap, that. You should get more for getting a star under those conditions. You get butter rolling to the edge of your pan.
You know what, though? It's just every kitchen you go to, the chefs do something. It's like they're retrofitting something, or they're they're playing around with something to make sure that you work your space, don't you? And we've not refibbed the kitchen or anything because we only opened in December 19, which was a fantastic time to throw everything at a restaurant, because we had at least 6 weeks to open and then we got closed again. So the kitchen for us is still almost brand new. We've been there 2 years, but we've just finished our first full years of books. So up until that point, Mark, who's a business partner and an investor in the project, basically, he approached me in 2019 and said, should we do something? It took us until December to get it sorted. And then he literally closed straight away. Yeah. We opened, Wales, we opened 6 weeks after you guys here. Wow. And then we closed earlier. And then we only got back to no social distancing in February of this year.
I didn't even realise that until you said earlier.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Shudder, don't it?
So the kitchen.
When did we stop that?
2 years ago.
What? Where has time gone? What the hell? Yeah,
but it was so for us, our refit really was like liquor paint. We needed to address the outside of the building because it was starting to look a bit scabby and stuff. But so it was knock the paint off, start again, build a new wine station to add to that extra table. Now we can do because of the social distancing being disappeared and everything.
Yeah, nice.
So it wasn't as hectic as yours because you had a few blips and stuff with furniture and all that sort of stuff, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
I lost my rag on Instagram.
It's hard to imagine, but you did lose your rag.
Yeah. For a change.
But it's just nice, and it come back, especially after you've had a break with fresh liquor paint, and it gives you a new lease of life. It feels like you're really gunning for the next step. And that's what we've done, minor changes really. But when we closed, every single member of the team, because we've got like a casual dining area outside, so that team stayed because they'll have their holidays at separate times. But the restaurant, because we were short-staffed and we haven't got the team to carry on, we close, and every single member of staff disappeared abroad. Like it was their first holiday for like a couple of years.
Wow!
So everyone shot off abroad, and like everyone's come back with a dead good tan and like stories of renting a speedboat for the weekend and everything else. And they're like, "What did you do?" Nice. I'm like, "Well, I went to cooking pub in the park, and I was here checking the painters are doing all right, and built a wine station." They're like, cool.
Cool. It's supposed to be a break for you.
But it's lovely to come back to like a fresh start, and then that's us. So
it just gives everyone a new lease of life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so coming up on today's podcast, we're going to be talking a bit about Nathan's experience with GBM and getting to the banquet this year. We're going to be talking about cooking over flames and barbecues, especially heading into the summer if it eventually starts here in the UK. We'll take some of your questions you've sent us via the Nightcap Twitter and Instagram pages. We've got Boiling Point, all the usual bits as well. Cowboy stories, cooking hacks, etc. But first, this is a nightcap or day drinking. So we are once again, for Series 4, opening a beautiful bottle of Gusbourne's finest award-winning English sparkling wine. You can visit their website now. It's gusbourne.com. See which of their very special vintage releases you might like to purchase and enjoy at home. All with free UK mainland delivery, no minimum order required. Paul, what have we today?
So, one we haven't had in a while, actually, the Blanc de Blanc. So, I mean, it's quite a sunny day. I mean, it's never a bad day for some Blanc de Blanc, is it? So 100% Chardonnay, all from their own vineyards, and it's just stunning. Stands up to most great champagnes. Cheers, guys.
Love it. What would you have served with this? With any of the lunch dishes you got on today?
It's quite versatile, really. I think champagne or champagne-style wines are more versatile than people think, in my opinion. Like traditionally, like fatty things and salamis and stuff. But we've served meat dishes before. If you get the sauce right, that's the key. It would have been lovely with the fish dish you had today. I think.
What was the fish dish?
You tell us.
A beautiful piece of halibut, lovely and crispy on the one side, with some asparagus. There was a creme fraiche sauce. I think, did you cook it through with some chicken stock or something like that?
We just make a really intense fish stock. So cook it a bit more than you would, so it's a bit richer. And then finish it with creme fraiche and lovage oil.
Bit of lovage oil, just sort of like freshen it up. Yeah, it was lovely.
Just a really simple, fresh, tasty dish, fresh ingredients, and be perfect with this wine.
We were just talking about some bits before we were recording about still massive problems with that, people overcomplicating dishes, adding one too many things to it. What you just described there, just stop there. So many people, I think, get tempted to add even more.
Yeah, it's always been a common problem. It's something you're taught as young chefs, and people just still do. Whether I don't know what it is.
Worried it's too simple.
I think a lot of it comes down to insecurity.
It's definitely insecurities, and what you get, I reckon, with young chefs is they want to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah.
Like, they want to show how good they are. They want to show how much they're learning. They want to show you want to look at a plate and they're thinking, I want to show them how passionate I am about food because I'll load it up with every ingredient I've ever seen and every techers I've ever learned from anybody.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you're like, or you'll have like one dish and you'll have like 3 different things to come alongside it, and then somebody's pouring a sauce on it and you're like, whoa, now, slow. If great chefs and stuff like that can pull it all off, it can be done, and a lot of restaurants do a lot of it, don't they? Where they'll have like lots of separate dishes or quite a lot of ingredients on the plate. But it's the opposite of what I do, and I haven't had lunch here today. Like it's definitely not what you do. Like I think we're quite similar in the way we look at things.
Purist,
like, simple, bring it back. And like when we look at ingredients, and like a lot of the time we'll go back to the year. So if for example, we're just about to get strawberries come on the menu, and we'll do a strawberry dish that we did like last year, and almost always when we bring it back on the menu, rather than adding something, we're always taking something away.
Really?
And
it's editing.
You're just slimming it down rather than adding it, and like just making it more of a pure thing and buying the best ingredient. Yeah. And that's what the pursuit is more now for me, rather than loads of techniques. It's like, is this the best? Is this the best lamb? Is this the best halibut, best turbot? Or, that way, I get more enjoyment from that than I do like throwing 15 techniques at that beautiful piece of fish.
Yeah,
I'd rather just put it in a clamp and put it on the fire, and that's it.
It shows when your food is that simple. It shows you using great ingredients and you've got confidence in it.
Yeah.
When you see loads of components on a plate, not always, like people are masters of that, like Fat Duck.
Yeah.
Because they've got 40 odd chefs and their technical ability is like another level.
Yeah.
But when these small teams and inexperienced chefs are doing it, a lot of the time it's not just insecurity, hiding bad ingredients.
Yeah.
If it's not good enough on its own, if you need to keep adding this stuff, then what are you getting?
Yeah.
I remember when we had Brad Carter on in the first series, and he was telling us about when he felt like he'd almost completed it when he got to the point where he served a dish that was meat and a sauce. And like,
meat and sauce.
That's it. I just realised I don't need anything else. I was like, that's...
Yeah, he said main course is meat and sauce.
Class. Well, because I spent a lot of time with Gaz and Nasir, and that menu, being there, and that the whole philosophy of like strip it back. That was where it came from for me. Like that's where I learned my craft in just stop, refine your dishes, and some of the ingredients we used to get through the door there would like bend your mind.
Really?
The best in the world, and probably more so now. I saw him yesterday actually. Went to have a brew before I came up here, but like the ingredients that they get through the door are frightening. They're just. When I was there, it was more like best in the UK sort of thing. But now he's sort of stretched out further, and like when I was there, you'd have like a beautiful piece of tuna, for example, that had been aged, and you just put something so simple on it and send it, but you get 30 courses.
Yeah.
So it was that was a masterclass in like refinement and just control and control. I mean, maybe not control on the budget when you're like buying everything, because it was.
I was going to say.
He doesn't really look at the price for stuff. He just gets the best stuff in the world, and that's an unbelievable place to be at. And like very very few places in the world you'll learn that you'll learn that from somebody and be able to be immersed in that world, because everyone else is looking at budgets and everything else. And
maybe that's the mindset people get wrong. Then it's not about hiding bad ingredients or whatever. It's like they don't think of it as elevating good produce. They see it as turning it into something new, or like. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes, Sometimes when there's too much technique in a dish, it's like they're taking something that should be what it is into something completely different, and you're overworking it, over manipulating it. Yeah.
Well, we cook over a bit of charcoal, so the technique for us is like grill it.
Well, we'll come back to GBM stuff later. Then I think we should start with that. Like, to just for a bit of context, SY23, was that always the plan from the beginning when you opened it a couple of years ago, to just cook over flames?
The cooking over flames, probably, yeah. If I'm honest with you, mate, I didn't really know. I left in Nasir after 4 really successful years. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Massive part of my life.
And you were head chef?
I was head chef for Gaz, yeah. So
for how much of that time?
No, I actually went there as like a chef de partie, because.
When did you start there? Because I ate in 2016. Just wonder if you were there then.
It was probably then. I was probably there, yeah.
Wow.
I would have definitely been there in 2016.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking over at my wife, trying to get her to give me the nod, like, you were there. You were there.
You know the diary better than I do.
But no, I was there from like 2015 to like 2019. And yeah, basically, like I'd worked for Gaz for probably 6 or 7 months, and when he first started, so I was there literally his first day. And then it was fucking mental. There was 2 or 3 of us in the kitchen. It was crazy. And if I'm honest with you, I was just, at the time, I was too young to deal with it. Like I just couldn't get on with it. Like I just said, no, this is me. I'm checking out. I'd been there 6 or 7 months, and I left. I went to work in a little hotel in Aberystwyth, which is just down the road from where I am now, but it's just down the road from Nasir.
So was it just the intensity of it?
Yeah, it was mega.
Just everything.
Everything.
It would have been a massive change, because it was this country house, and then Gaz just come and ripped it up.
But like it was like kitchen not fighting against front of house, because it wasn't that way. Everybody was in tune with what was going on, but customers were very, very different. It was an old Relais Chateau property.
Of course it was, yeah.
They were all turned up in a Bentley, and
they wanted white tablecloths.
Yeah, they're expecting a cream cheese it's gone waiting for them or whatever it is they're after when they get there.
They're
And we're like,
miso.
no, we don't do that anymore. And honestly, like, I just couldn't cope. I was in my early 20s. I was just like, you know what, like, I can't do this. So I checked out, and I was, I was exhausted. Went to work in a little, I say little, it was like a 35-bedroomed hotel on the seafront. It afforded me a bit more time. We had our first son. So it allowed me to like actually chill out with the kids a bit more and actually see them. And then I was there for a couple of years. As soon as the little one started going to like nursery and stuff like that, I was like, right, I'm moving on from this, and I'm going to go and sort of pursue something else. So then I went to a hotel in Cardiff that promised the whole universe. It had everything. It had the wages. It had the ideas. It had the free reign. It had everything you'd ever imagine from a job, which is, you should have realised at the time, like, this is very unlikely to happen. So I went there and I was like, literally day one or day two, I'm like, I don't think this is for me. Wow. Just everything pushed against each other. And if I'm honest with you, at the time, I was getting ready to check out of cooking. I was like, I genuinely think I'm done. I was like, yeah, I think this is me. I was having a tough gig, to be honest. I was living away from home. Like, I was living 2.5 hours away. I was commuting, so I was getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Christ, you're getting back at like...
Yeah, so I was staying there for a few nights a week. But everything was mental. I was first in there for breakfast because there was no staff. Everybody was agency staff. It was horrendous. And honestly, I was like, I think this is me. I think I'm out. Like, and then it was pure chance that one of the guys in the kitchen had said, "Oh, Gaz is advertising for chefs of all levels." And I was like, you know what? Because I'd stayed in contact with Gaz. Like, we left on good terms and everything. It was, we stayed friends. We always used to see each other at like fish festivals and stuff like that. So when I saw it, I got back home and it was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I spoke to Holly, my wife, and I was like, what do you reckon? I said, I'm going to go speak to Gaz. So I texted him and said, like, and he messaged me straight back and said, yeah, come and have a chat, and we'll have a chat. And I said, said to my wife, this is it, last throw of the dice. I said, if it doesn't work out here, I'm done.
Really? Wow.
So I went to the restaurant, middle of the day, sat down, had a cup of tea with him, and he was like, look, everything is about to change. Like, we've just had a new kitchen. He'd just become chef patron. He'd just been given a partnership in the business. The previous owner had passed away, so it was just one investor at the time, and everything had become more tunnel vision. Everything had become more streamlined and like driven to a point where they were going to change the business. And he said, "Look, I've already employed a sous chef, and I'm giving up a job in Cardiff, and this is going back a decade." And I was in like middle 40s in wages, and he's like, "Look, I've got you a chef to party job, but it's chef to party. I've already employed the sous chef. And I said, you know what, I'll take it." So I took a massive pay cut, and I do not regret it for a single second of my life.
Fair play, yeah.
So yeah, took a massive pay cut, and like my wife had to go back to work and do more hours and stuff to actually make it pay. Like,
amazing.
Honestly, it was like a proper life decision. We're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I went back within a few weeks or a couple of months probably. The sous chef couldn't do it. Like, he checked out. And Gaz said, like, look, sous chef's gone. You're up. It's yours. And so I stayed as a sous chef for a couple of years, and never really intended on being the head chef there. Like, Gaz is the head chef.
Yeah,
whatever the title was, like, like it was his vision, it was his drive, it was his mission. So I was quite happy being a sous chef. And one day he just comes up to me and goes, "Look, I'm going to give you the head chef job." And I'm like, No, don't do that. Like, you're the head chef. You don't know. And he was like,
"Where are you going?"
He's like, yeah. He's like, no. You take care of the kitchen for me. I appreciate it. I want to show you how much I appreciate it.
Wow.
And I was bowled over by it. I was like, oh right, okay, Jesus Christ. But yeah, we had an amazing relationship. I worked with him. We were side by side every single day.
Yeah.
There was some ace lads in that kitchen though at the time. Like, this was when we were doing like 4 covers a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes during the beginning of NSA, like when I joined up then, we would only do 20 guests a week.
Wow.
We'd have some weeks in the winter where you'd have no guests.
Shit.
And now it's like exploded into this place where people are travelling all over the world.
Yeah, it's like almost a food sanctuary now, isn't it? It's like people are seeking it out.
But in the early days, like we used to go out and do the gardening. We'd be like, we'd do our prep and be like, right guys, we've got nobody booked in today or tomorrow, and they'd be like, right then lads.
And you're not getting walk-ins in that location.
No.
No.
You're not, unless you get a fly-in.
Where you're walking in from.
Unless they're on the Duke of Edinburgh. But it's like, So we'd go out in the garden and we'd be gardening. We'd be like
surreal.
weeding the beds. We'd be raking the gravel.
Laugh, though, like,
No, it wasn't. No,
Wasn't it?
No, it was horrible. No, it was horrible.
Wow. So did you have doubts then at that point?
Oh, we all had doubts at one point, and then James Martin and Grace Dent turned up with Stephen Terry. So Stephen and James were doing a tour around Britain, and Stephen had said to James Martin like, "Oh, look, get up there," because I used to work for Stephen Terry as well for a brief time. He said like get up there, Gaz is doing some amazing things, and then James Martin was like bowled over when he came, sat him on the chef's table. They had a wicked dinner, really like just sound blokes. And then I think he had Grace Dent on his TV show like a week later, and I think Grace had said to him like, "Where do I go?" And he was like, "There's a place called Innisea."
Wow.
And she came, and her article came out like the week after.
Yeah.
We were all dead nervous because at home, I think she eats as a vegan almost, and she doesn't really eat a lot of meat. And this place, we're knocking out like out of the 20 courses, 13 of them are meat. So you're like, okay. And she gave us an amazing review, and from then it blew up.
Wow.
And then the wheels just never stopped turning, and
Isn't
it was
that
ace.
great? Like, I know it sounds silly, but it's still the power of like some journalists. Like they just
the
make or
influence
break
they
a
have.
place. Like still,
It's very nervous, isn't it, when you get somebody like that in the restaurant?
It is.
You get somebody
because you know the power they've got, and it's not like it's more about if it's good, this could really make it. You know, if it's bad, it doesn't necessarily break you, but it just doesn't take off.
It breaks your spirit.
Breaks your heart.
Yeah, and you bank for a couple of weeks, but then you might get over it if you're all right. But
but it's just that they can flick the switch. Yeah,
and it was powerful, man. It was just unbelievable. We went from, like I said, doing 20 covers a week. We'd have 12 guests in on Saturday and be like, "Oh, decent Saturday." So all of a sudden, you've got like 20 people in every day. Wow. Amazing, unbelievable experience.
And it's never really looked back since, has it?
No.
Since then, it's
No.
been an absolute juggernaut now.
Yeah.
But isn't it like personally for you how going back in the conversation a bit, how so many youngsters nowadays would consider you going to Gareth and taking that massive wage cut as a backward step. But it's not. It's a forward step.
It was a forward jump.
Thinking you've got to play the long game,
Yeah.
especially in this trade. So many people would be like, I wouldn't take that pay drop. But
Yeah.
look how the experience you had there and where you're at now. And what you're doing.
If I look
It's a
back at it
forward
now,
step.
I'd have if I'd have my time again, I'd go back there for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Because of
what it's done, I wouldn't be where I am now. Like it doesn't the Mark who's invested in the restaurant for us, and we're partners and everything else, but like he saw me through Innisea. That's how it sort of
put a spotlight on you.
and it people, like you say, young chefs now chase the wages, and I probably look back and say like when I'd gone to Cardiff, I was probably chasing wages, and then you look back and you go, what the fuck was I doing? And
That's funny.
you just need that jolt sometimes. I think you need that reset button where you go like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, take it back and swallow a bit of pride.
Yeah.
You're going from a head chef on good wages to a chef de partie, and you're like, you've got to eat a bit of humble pie. You've got to be like, I've got to learn my craft.
Yeah, show some humility.
Yeah.
Play the long game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way forward.
And from that, like, that was it. And
Yeah, so how did you switch then from to head chef there to opening your own place? That was that.
I just felt like I'd come to the end of my time in this here, to be honest. I'd been there for a long time. I'd been on the journey from like we just said, bare bones to fucking basically superstardom, really. Kind of like Gaz was on James Martin all the time. It was ace. Business was booming. We'd just done like MasterChef finals.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that,
you're like, doesn't really get much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it should have had 2 stars when we were there, to be honest with you. Like, everybody that at there at that time, it was flying. And he's been 2-star restaurant in my eyes for for years. And I was just like, you know what, like, apart from the 2 stars that I'd have loved to have achieved with them, but you know, just wasn't the time.
And were you having like not doubts, but like or almost like background thoughts of, I could if I did this by myself at this point, I would. Too.
No, never really. No.
Yeah.
And one of the big things for me actually, I was driving home from work one day, and I fell asleep at the wheel very, very shortly.
Oh, fuck.
Like, yeah, I was all right. Like, I'd been in the countryside, everybody drives a big truck, don't they? So you can't just bounce off the hedge. And I was like, oh God, I'm burning the candles at both ends here. Like, you know, I'm leaving here at very late and getting here very early, and there's half an hour drive in between. I had 2 young kids at the time, and I was just like, I'll stop and start again, like I did when I went to Gaz. It was like right time for a stop. And that was it. And that was kind of that jolt that stopped me to sort of go, okay, cool. And SY23 was supposed to be that same year. I'd been to San Sebastian with Gaz. We were cooking at the top 100 restaurants in Europe award, and there was myself and Gareth from Nasir. There was Luke, and I think it was Dan from Yoro, and there was Nuno and Eduardo from Maus. We were all like the British guys going over there because we were like new to the list, so we were asked to cook. And we just spent our time, like, we did this little dinner. When I say little dinner, it was like 300 covers. But we did a dinner, and then we legged it down to the old town and went round San Sebastian, just like absorbing all of this pintos and tapas style food. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, really?
I'm going to do this because this is ace.
Uh-huh.
We went to some amazing restaurants, and we had like 4 days of just enjoying that culture. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to open a little tapas style bar? So that was what SY23 was going to be. We were going to do a casual dining bar, and that was the goal.
Yeah.
So when I wrote the menu, we did like a meat, fish, and a vegetable section. We did like a 3-3-3 on each, and on the along the side of it, I just put like today's set menu. Yeah. And it was, at the time, it was like pennies. I don't know how it was so cheap, but and it wasn't a taster menu. It was just a set menu of like our best picks basically from each of them, and it was like 4 or 5 courses, little plates, and that was it. And then when we first opened, we had a few people like coming in and having like one small plate and sitting there and drinking cocktails, and I was like, this is never going to pay.
Yeah, good point.
And then a couple of weeks after, it sort of started gathering a bit of momentum, and every single person that came ordered from the set menu. For 2 weeks, we didn't sell a single small plate. Everybody went set menu, and I was like, well, the people have spoken. Why am I prepping? Yeah, why am I prepping this? It was like myself. There was a young lad in the kitchen with me that didn't know what was going on, and you know, like so for him, he's like not really knowing where I'm trying to go with it anyway. And he's trying to do a little bit for me, and I'm doing a bit. And then we employed another chap, and he took care of like the pastry side of things. And I was like, none of these guys know what we're trying to do anyway, so we might as well lose the bits and bobs that we don't need and focus on it. And then lockdown came.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then when we reopened, those chefs that were with me, I had a couple of chefs. One of them left and didn't come back, and then the other one went downstairs. And we opened like a little casual dining area, because in Wales, outside dining was allowed to be opened about a month or 6 weeks before inside.
Got you.
And inside dining was really not popular.
Really?
Like nobody was eating inside. Everyone was scared to death.
Sure.
Apart from Boris. So everybody was scared to death with eating inside. So I sent the chefs downstairs, and I cooked upstairs on my own. And the only way I could cope was by doing one fixed menu and bringing everybody in at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I'm cooking a saddle of lamb, like, you know what it's like if you're doing a dinner party, you cook a saddle of lamb, you carve it off the bone, you just cut that beautiful saddle into 12 portions, into 18 portions, or however you need to do it.
Yeah.
You've cooked it once.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got an a la carte restaurant, or if you've got a restaurant where everybody arrives separately, you've got to
cook
break that.
differently,
You've got to break that beautiful lamb into like smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And you've got to cook it 18 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, I can't do that. So what I'll do is I'll simplify. So we brought everybody in at the same time.
Doing that model, that must have been quite scary though, because you must have been thinking like...
It was, yeah. It was scary. Because it hadn't really been done in our area. And not really a done thing anywhere, really. But when everybody tries to book a restaurant, they always want 7:30. Everybody wants 7:30.
That's
right?
a go-to time.
Yeah. Have you got a table for tonight? Can I have 7:30?
Saturday 7:30.
So what we did was like,
That's tomorrow.
yeah. It's like, okay, we'll do 7:30, but we'll do 7:30 for everybody. And then
So how many covers did you do there?
we've just with everything now we're about 20 covers, 21 covers is bursting. So so I was taking care of it on my own, and then Cuba turned up, who runs kitchen now, and then we just built the team off that really. But
Nice.
now there's 3 of us: myself, Cuba, and Charlie.
And the barbecue was in there from day one.
From day one, yeah.
Yeah. So did you cook everything on there?
As much as possible.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of dessert courses, which obviously like some elements have come from the barbecue, but yeah, almost. We've got 2 tiny little inductions that we just warm a bit of stash up, or like you know what I mean, just something really dead simple. But everything else is coming straight from the barbecue.
It's so good to see, because it's not only the purest way to cook. It's like it requires the most skill. It's not.
It's a lot of knowledge.
You put it on that number, or you put it on the bullseye. So much more skill in the temperature, especially cooking whole joints and things over it.
What's the difference between a barbecue in a kitchen, or cooking over flames in the kitchen compared to outside? Is there a difference at all in the setup?
Outside, you've normally got your shorts on, haven't you, on a beer.
That's the difference.
You don't get as much smoke at you. Yeah.
But like, is the setup different or unconventional?
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Our barbecue is like, it's just something that I built. When I went to San Sebastian, I sort of saw what they were cooking, and I was like, I'll make one of them, because I can't buy one.
Yeah. Did
So-
you get to Asador Echebarri? Because I really want to
No,
go there. 'Cause
we
he
tried
pioneered it, really, didn't he?
We tried to go, but it was full.
Yeah.
Because it was OID Awards, and every chef or food writer in the area was there, and they'd all booked a year before, probably.
Yeah.
But no, there was no chance we were getting there. But I would love to have gone there, and I'll go back there to go there.
Because no one was doing like the pulley system or anything before.
No,
so,
him.
so talk us through, because if you can't buy it, it must be quite unique. So are there levels to it? Talk us through what.
Do you make yours?
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Do all the metal work and that.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
that only came through literally not being able to get what I needed for a price I could afford.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, I've got a garage, and I couldn't even weld, to be honest. I was like a shit to average welder at best, and I was like, I'll just teach myself.
nice.
So I did, and it, like I changed it. Like when I first started, like I'd be like taking it home on the weekend, cutting bits off it, and like welding bits on. I'd be like, that's too high or that's too low, and like, so yeah, we basically got it's essentially a fire bed. So you've got, you know. If you imagine this table, you've just put coals down on the actual table itself, which is basically all it is. It's just heat bricks. And then you've got racks at about 40 or 50 centimetres, and then a 20 centimetres above that. So you kind of, within arm's reach.
Is it the same? You set the coals out the same all the way along, or is it hot?
No. We'll have like we'll have a burn pile, as I'd look at it, on the right hand side. We'd have a burn pile there, so that's where we'll chuck our logs to become embers, or it's where we'll feed new charcoal, and then we'll scrape it down on towards like the left hand side, and the left hand side will be the fiercest.
Yeah. Got it.
But one of the things with us fixing dinner time as well, it means that we don't need to keep that continual fight with like
how get it ready for a certain
we just
time.
get it ready.
Yeah.
We get it ready for like, we know that the scallop course, it wants to be hotter than the sun, so we just build it up, fan it, absolutely mental.
Wicked, yeah.
And then when everybody sits down, you're like, boom, scallop time, bang, scallops go on, and then we know that we can allow the fire to cool down as we go on to like. We want it to be a little bit cooler for the turbots, because we cook the turbots whole in like a Basque style clamp. So we're cooking the turbots then, and we've got these racks that are staged in height. So you kind of know you're going to sear it first, and then you're going to get it up, and you're going to get it rested, and then you back down, you turn it over and back up again.
You're saying that like that's easy, but that must take so long to know exactly, because you don't, like you say, you don't know the exact temperature or the tiny flame to the big flame. Like you don't know.
It's more about like understanding meat and fish and when it's cooked and what it needs, and knowing from looking at it rather than following a formula of pan fry it 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's knowing and touching.
Yeah. And I love it. I love it, man. I just get a kick out of it. I think
I can see that.
The feel of like, we don't use probes, like, unless the AHO are listening. But basically, we don't use probes and stuff to check temps. It's all about feel, and like, Charlie, who's on the fish now at the moment, like, we all sort of take it in turns for like who gets to cook the turbot. And like recently, Charlie's been cooking it for a little while because Cuba gets to cook the scallops, so it's kind of a bit of a balancing act. Yeah, like when he first started, like we've got like 50 little stainless steel skewers. That's all they are, is like a little needle.
Yeah.
And we'll just go into
cake
it
tester type
exactly,
thing, yeah.
it's like a cake tester, and we're like continually nursing it, and then just putting it on the bottom of your lip.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the way we were taught before,
Yeah.
probes on
Yeah.
your lip, just for
Yeah.
the temperature.
Yeah, and you know, you're then looking for like texture, so it becomes sticky. Turbot becomes beautiful and sticky as it's cooking, and like the bones start to warm up, and it's like fucking oozing out, and you're like skewering it and just checking it, and you're looking for temperature, but also like, does it come straight off, or is it got a bit of stickiness to it? And is that like that stickiness, that beautiful little proteins that are coming out of it are starting to become like almost like beautiful jelly, and like then you'll be like, she's ready, I'll rest it.
Wow.
And like I love doing it. I used to do it all the time, and then I, you know, not being selfish, I had to pass it on, and like then Cuba took care of it for a while, and then like Charlie's on the fish now, so he loves it, and like every time we come to like the stage show, we'll take it off the fire. We'll normally show it to chef's table and be like, here's your fucking fish, and then we take it over to the carving station, and we'll like peel the skin back, because we try and keep the skin whole, because we grill the skin afterwards, and you get like these absolutely outrageous little wafer after that we serve separately, so you can just enjoy it like a piece of crackling.
So hungry.
I'm starving now.
But like every single time we come to take the fish off, so like I'll be talking to Cuba, but like, and he'll be like grilling some asparagus or getting some beans or whatever it is for the garnish at the time, and Charlie's like looking over like, all right, chef, and I'm like just about to dive in with my fish cutlery, and I like pull it off the bone, and I look at the bone, and it's like beautiful bit of pink running through it, and I'm like, she's good, Charlie. And the weight that comes off his shoulders is unbelievable. Every time he's like sound. Like, so
mate,
it's class. I love it. I love
It's
it.
such a pure way to cook. I don't do it anywhere near as much as you. Because our kitchen's so small, we cook on a Conroe, depending on what's on the menu, or I'll have it up here. But like, I'll take it home. Like I took the Conroe to my mum's on Jubilee weekend. They had a street party. Yeah. I was just cooking for the street, all steaks and stuff, and I got a massive coat.
No, Jesus, is that Paul Foster? Oh yes, is it free? Yes.
Everybody throws their bird's eye burgers in the go. Fuck this.
Yeah, my mum brought out some very questionable burgers. It's like, that's just going to cause a fire, all the fat in there. And it was carnage. But I had a massive, like 950 gram Côte de Boeuf.
Yeah,
and
sounds
like,
shit.
cooked it on. And
Wow.
my mum was like, you need to put that in the oven. Like, Mum, just 45
do you still get that as well?
Yeah.
Where parents tell you how to cook.
Yeah.
You guys still get
My
that?
dad's the worst for it. He's like, is that all right, kid? I'm like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, Michelin think it fucking is now, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I get it with my Yorkshire pudding. My Yorkshire pudding's like monsters, right? And I did the mix up years ago and was like, it's too thin. So we'll just wait till the end result. Yeah, it's all about the end result. They come out monsters, and she's like, yeah, but the mix is still too thin. So, but how? Just
These are
yours
too
is
lovely
like
and fluffy and airy and big and tall. And
Because your mix is like dough, and then Yorkshire pudding's like dough.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to do it anymore.
Yeah.
My stepdad does it now, and he's a decent. So,
Yeah.
but she's still like, yeah, it's too thin. So, but it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Fucking end result.
Yeah, that is
class.
crazy.
It's Côte de Boeuf. I just stood by it. I wouldn't leave it. I was just on the beers, and I just 45 minutes just turning, and it was just it's the
like
simplest
it's
thing,
as
grilled
much-
meat, but it was
That's
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
as much the ritual around it as
Yeah,
much as the taste.
it is,
It's almost
isn't
like
it?
that feeling of
I love feeling like a caveman.
Yeah.
It's something special
And
about
you
it.
still get excited, like, yeah, I did it. Like,
yeah.
you
And when
know.
you come to take it off the bone, you're like, whoa, is it? And you slice through it, it's like pink to pink. You're like, whoa. Yeah.
In the same way of like you get it with a beef Wellington because
Yeah.
you don't know what's
Oh,
inside.
it's terrifying. Yeah.
Every time you're like,
Yeah. As soon as your knife touches the top and you go through the pastry, it's crisp. You're like, hey, first stage, good.
Yeah.
And then it goes through the meat knife. Like, we're on to a winner here.
or you see a bit of steam and you're like, oh, it seems a bit hot.
Shit. Put it in the fridge.
So we do it up here on the chef's table. We'll cook a Wellington or proper classic stuffed saddle of lamb or something, and we're carving it in front of them. I can't take it outside, carve it, and yeah, and it's like.
just got your back
And I
to it,
just
trying to
when it's
Oh,
nice,
she's got
I
like
just
a rabbit
play it
nose,
cool.
like, oh shit.
But yeah, you got to play it cool when it's nice. Just turn it to them with the foot.
Yeah. Leave it on the board. I'll just drop the mic there. Leave that there. For you. Yeah.
A lot of them don't give a fuck.
And they were like,
yeah, so it should be. I'm paying enough.
so true. Yeah, Well, yeah, it should be.
Getting excited for you. 23 years.
Yeah. It must be his first time. He's dead excited about this. First Wellington Port. Yeah. First one. Yeah.
Well, then by surely just chance, there must be some shockers. There must be, because of the unpredictability of the flat. Also, did you ever get into a pickle with it because it is a bit temperamental and there's a bit of risk?
I think I'm too much of a control freak, if I'm honest. And and to be honest with you, I'm very lucky with the chefs I've got in the kitchen. They take it at least as seriously as I do. So we don't. And one of the other things is like, the team of Race, they take care of that, and they take a lot of pride and pressure from it as well. So they're like, they're making sure that it's, they're professional. Like we get this like thing where even 20 years down the line, we're like, whoa!
Yeah.
They get the same thing. So they want that every time. But by fixing dinner time, by fixing everybody arrives at the same time, like Cuba's cooking the scallops for everybody at the same time. So he's 100% invested in that dish.
Yeah, with that focus, you do well to overcook a turbot or something.
Yeah.
When you're a la carte restaurant, you're like,
you've got something in the oven, and it's like,
you can easily overcook a pigeon or anything. But that focus.
That was one of the things that really transformed the restaurant for us. Like having that, because in the same way that, like, if I was cooking, say, I'm cooking the saddler lamb, Cuba will be cooking the rib, and Charlie will be assembling the garnish. And then when it comes to the other courses, like, say Cuba, for example, is cooking the scallop or whatever he's doing, Charlie will take care of the sauce then. I'll get the plates up. I'll get the garnish ready. So we spend 100...
You'll pivot on the night almost with those bits?
Normally it's something we'll have agreed.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
sorry.
So our service is... I wouldn't say choreographed, but like... You
just know each other?
Yeah.
Now, so
and we need to know where we are. I mean, it's busy. There's people stand there staring, like a chef's table. They're staring at you. Like if you drop the ball, or you're like, "So lads, right? Well, quick huddle before the next course." Like you cook the lamb. You cook the lamb. I'll assemble the garnish. I'm like, where is the garnish? No, it's so no. Like we'll know, and we'll probably say the day before, like, so that everybody gets into work with the mindset of like, I'll do this. So I'll probably say the day before, like, right, I'm going to take care of this. You're going to take care of that, or whatever else. However, normally we don't even need to talk about it. It's just I've got to, like I say, they've been with us for a couple of years, so and we work so closely together on one menu. But yeah, that investment in their whole attention is on that. It's not on anything else. Like,
it's a beautiful thing,
whoever is assembling the garnish is taking care of the restaurant. So if I'm taking the fish off the bone, that's me. I'm 100% invested in that. And whoever's taking the bowls out and preparing the ambient garnishes on that plate, we'll get a feedback from the dining room. They'll, Tanif, who takes care of all of our wines for us, she'll just be like, set on pairing. And then Rebecca or Sam or whoever's taking care of like the cutlery. So we split the team up. Even out front, we have one that takes care of just wine, and she'll help clear and things. But Tan's job basically for us is just take care of everybody's wines. And then, like, say if it's Rebecca or if it's Holly or if it's one of the others that taking care of the cutlery, we get feedback from the kitchen and from the restaurant. It'll be like, one of them will say set on cutlery, one of them will say set on wines. You don't even have to ask.
Wow.
So then you know that they're set because we have this regimented way that we lay the cutlery out. So if I'm wondering how many tables have they got left to set, I'll turn around and I'll see that there's two lines of cutlery left to go. There's 2 tables left to be served cutlery.
Wow.
And we always so we start when we do the wine pairing. We'll start in one side, depending on if there's got slow eaters. Because if we've got a slow eater, we'll start with them, and then we'll be like, right, okay, we're going to go 4, 5, 7, and they're like, yep, cool, and that's the order for the whole night.
Wow.
So we know. And then depending on what chef's table are like, we'll either start with them for wine pairing, so we can go straight to chef's table, or they'll be the last to be served.
Right.
So it kind of works that way, but. With mistakes and stuff. Mistakes would be now complacency more than it would be something else because you've got that, you've got no excuse really.
Little things that are still big to you, but on the grand scheme of things, aren't like a whole turbot being fucked or something.
Fucking that'd be bad, wouldn't it? Looking out into the restaurant like I've got no more turbot.
There's no way around that.
What was the pulley system?
Yeah,
was
so
that? How does that work?
it's one that we don't use it because I'm not that posh. I can't build them, but
Hey, one day. There's a YouTube
I'm
tutorial out there waiting for
I'm
you.
aspiring to it. So, but Exeter Barry, that's what they do. They've got these Basque style barbecues, don't they? They just raise, so you can
So
be
you've got a handle you can
Ace.
raise, and so if your coal's here, if you want to get it hotter or closer,
Wow, that is cool.
really
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
very
Yeah,
very
it
cool.
is.
That's the next level. That.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah. Lastly, on this subject, are there any especially going into summers now, people doing their own stuff at home? Are there any either tips or common mistakes people make with their barbecues?
Yeah, biggest mistake when people say they're having a barbecue, you turn up and it's fucking gas. I thought we were having a barbecue.
Yeah, it's not a barbecue.
Like,
it's just outside
don't take
cooking.
the piss. Don't take the piss
Fair
out
enough,
of me.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, don't say come around for a grill or something. Just come around for lunch.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good at doing that in America. They'll say that. They'll say, "Oh, I'm going to be grilling tonight." They won't say I'm barbecuing.
Yeah.
Because it will be gas.
Barbecue. It's
coal, isn't it?
coal and wood, or either or. It's
Would you
fucking.
ever say that back though? Do you want to come around for barbecue? Like, are you cooking over coals?
Yeah, I've said it to my mates.
Yeah.
And they just, "Oh,
Is
piss
that a
off,"
barbecue
you know.
or are we cooking outdoors
Yeah.
on gas?
I won't come.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds
But
rubbish.
the biggest mistake I think, and like when I see sort of people barbecuing at home, like they'll go to the best butchers, they'll buy this beautiful piece of meat, they'll go to the best fishmongers, they'll buy this beautiful piece of fish, and then they'll pick some shit charcoal up on the garage on the way home.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it comes in a bag that's doused in petrol or whatever it's coming,
Yeah,
like fucking
yeah.
old cooking oil or whatever.
Aroma,
Heat
yeah.
And they light it in the bag, and there's fucking smoke bellowing. Like, 3 doors down, I've already phoned the fire brigade because there's just this really bad charcoal,
Yeah.
boozing smoke into the air, and you're like,
I didn't realise this until I listened to another
Oh.
podcast recently that most people just think charcoal's charcoal. Like,
Sickening.
oh, well, that's charcoal. It's
Sickening.
No, a lot of people do that.
Yeah, they do. Like when the Jubilee weekend, when Mum was like, "Oh, just bring the meat. I'll get the disposable barbecues." I was like, "No."
yeah, this is a £40 steak.
And like, the charcoal is there, and it's like it's on it.
Yeah.
And they're slow as fuck as well.
Yeah.
But they stink.
Yeah.
It's like no.
But
no.
coals, that's my 100%. The biggest tip I could give anybody is save a couple of quid on your meat, buy the coal.
Okay.
Because like we use this wicked fella that lives down the road from us, and he's got a bit of woodland. He makes most 90% of our charcoal. So it comes from 2 miles away. He knows what he's been doing. This fella's been doing it forever. It's not a production line for him. It's like he's coppicing woodland and he's managing woods, and this is how he pays to do that. And he creates this beautiful charcoal that's properly burnt through. It's clean. It burns
clean,
efficiently.
that's the word,
hot. There's not loads of ash left.
Yeah.
And it's superb.
Yeah. So that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where to comment. I guess because most people just think, well, I'll just supermarket or garage.
Yeah, people get it from the garage or
Yeah.
something. There's stuff outside Tesco's Express.
Yeah. Outside by the trolleys.
It's in like a waterproof bag because
Yeah.
they leave it out there all year.
Yeah.
You still smell the paraffin through the bag. Like, oh shit!
That's a great tip. Love it. Okay, well let's delve into a bit of GBM. We can't not really because it's been a massive year for you. Like this is, I mean, that getting to the final of that banquet was a massive achievement. For those who didn't watch it, the brief this year for Great British Menu was around television, and you could link it to shows or do whatever you wanted. But you got to the final. You did the starter.
Yeah.
You did Merlin's
Potion.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Can you just give us a little bit of story how you came to make that dish, and how long was that? A lot of prep in the.
You don't get that much time, do you, at all for GBM? Like everybody thinks that you get 12 months to work on a menu, but you get like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You know, like
And the brief for me, I mean, I did it years ago, but like it was just so many pages long. I don't know if it is now. It was like several pages of A4.
Well, I can't remember. I can't even. Do you know what? Holly will tell you. I don't. I mean, I spoke to Amy, who's one of the producers on the show. Was she doing it when you? No, she won't have been.
Nah.
No. And she was like, she's the person that recruits all the chefs, and she's like, look, do you want to do it again? And after the first year, I was a bit bitter because I got my fucking arse handed to me by the judges. Like Tommy Banks was ace, and. Like, I came away from there because you don't see what the judges say, do you? And so I came away from there and I was like, fucking what an amazing experience. I've just had 2 10s, a 9 and an 8 from Tommy Banks. I'm on par with, at the time we filmed it, it was the highest score in GBM history.
Wow.
And,
I didn't realise that.
And I was like,
And this
wow,
was the first
this was the
year.
first
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what an experience. This is amazing. came away from it fucking head held high. Howell, who was from Beach House, he went through to finals. Wicked cook and just a lovely chap. So I made a good friend out of it. I was just like made up, like great experience. And then when we watched it, I just got rinsed. The judges hated it every minute of it.
This would have been the old judges now.
The dinosaurs, yeah. So they hated it. They just like we did. At the time we did it, we were just going into a lockdown, so we couldn't get the turbot. We ended up doing a brill. So there was a few, like, it was quite a tough week for everybody because, I mean, the home ex bent over backwards to try and get everybody they could, and they did amazingly well. But some of us, and it was not just me, it was a few of us, like, we had to compromise on some ingredients because we were just going into a fire break or a lockdown or whatever it was at the time. So ingredients were really quite tough to get hold of. And then, like, I'd served them this big, beautiful brill, and they just didn't get it at all. Whereas Tommy would give me a 10 for it, and I was like, okay. Yeah. So we watched that, and then they absolutely annihilated my dessert. And I was like, right, okay. And it left me a bit bitter. Like, I didn't air any, like, I wasn't, obviously I got in touch with the directors and the producers. I said, oh, thanks for the experience. It was lovely. Like, but inside I was a bit hurt. I was a bit like, how have I scored a 10 from somebody like Tommy?
And nothing changed.
And then nothing changed. Yeah. And then I've just been absolutely ripped out. So when they said about going back the second time, Amy's like, do you fancy coming back again? And I was like, don't know. Sure. So I just had a bit of I went back home, and like all good decisions in my house had kind of come through Holly. And I'm like, nice. What do you reckon? Like, and she said, do it again. Like, just do it again. Do it again. Put a full stop in it.
Yeah. Pretend like that first time didn't happen anyway.
Yeah.
And you still got insane scores in the first.
In the first, yeah, it was good. The judges just didn't get it, and like, so we went into it the second time, and I just think I went into it with a different mentality. I was just like.
Did you feel like a bit more loose and a bit more having fun with it? Or?
No.
The
opposite.
Really?
Fucking hell, better not prove them right. No, I actually went into it and I was very nervous. Like,
when did you hear the judges had changed?
After we'd submitted menus.
Oh, right. Okay.
So they kept that secret until the menus had been submitted. And obviously, would I have put a scallop course on there for the fish course? Yeah. No. But everyone was in the same boat, so it was a fair competition. It wasn't like I submitted my menu. And I still love that scallop dish. Like, still on the restaurant, I love it. So like, I submitted the menus. You get 2 weeks or 14. It's like not very long at all. And when we submitted the ideas, I was like, what are we going to do here? And the lamb broth, the cowl, was one of the dishes that I was the most nervous about. I was like, they're either going to like this or they're going to hate it. Right. Because it's either going to come, like, they're either going to get it or not get it. It's not going to be like an in-between dish. Mm-hmm. So I was the most nervous about that one. And, like, when we first put it together, we submitted the menus, and you haven't really got enough time in that thing to, like, work on a dish.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think these flavours will work. Like, so we did up a little tester, and it was completely shit. And I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be a bad one, and it's a first dish out.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm like, okay. So back to the drawing board. Started developing the dish, but I had to stick because I'd submitted that menu. I had to stick within that menu, the outline of basically what I'd committed to. Mm-hmm. You can make tweaks, can't you? But you can't change the dish in the early stages.
The whole sort of concept and main,
because they probably get like. I don't know what the number is, probably 6 or 7 chefs that they ask to send the menu to, and then they'll pick from them as to who goes to the studio, I'm imagining. Yeah. So they phone back and were like, look, you're going to go to the studio, congratulations, like, well done, you'll be on the box. And yeah, that made us even more nervous. And regionals, I don't get nervous cooking. Like, I don't really, like if I have like chefs and stuff in the restaurant, I enjoy it more than I get nervous. Yeah, I don't ever be like, oh God, this tense this. I always take the good from it, and like, but that regionals, I was shitting a brick, and it was
interesting.
I just didn't want to show myself up, and I just did not want to be the first one. Someone's got to be the first one out, and I didn't want to be the first one out, and the chefs were really good, and they were good the year before, so you're kind of thinking, yeah, they're going to come with an A game, and so I worked on it, and that was the one dish that I probably spent more time on than any of the others. Yeah, got ya. And the brief for me was like, don't be first one out. So I put all my energy into the first 2 dishes. Mm-hmm. And I kind of forgot about the last two. Scores reflected that one. But I was like,
You just wanted to get through.
I just wanted to be not cook your whole menu. Do not be the first one out.
Yeah.
And when the first canapes went up, I was like, oh shit! Like this is a solid competition here. Like these are good. All of them were good.
Yeah.
And then we put this lamb dish up, and I'm like, they're either going to love this or just not get it at all.
For those that haven't seen it, just quickly talk us through the components of the
So
dish.
it's like a lamb neck that's been brined, and then we pressure cooked it and finished it over the barbecue. So we grilled it for some colour, and then smoked it over hay, and then there was some beer, some onions braised in beer with some lamb fat on top to make like a really beautiful, like almost like a beer sauce really with the lamb fat. And then we used the onions in the dish, and then we used the broth. We basically froze it and clarified it, and used it like a little sauce to go onto it, with some fermented grains. So we got some local grains from SY23, basically from around the area.
Yeah.
We fermented those. We cooked them out in some beer and emulsified them in some cultured butter, and then we had a little miso onion puree. It was like quite intense with onion, but like that saltiness of the miso, and then some preserved wild garlic and allium flowers that we'd picked, and we just pulled them out of the preserves fridge and we're like, oh, they'll go nice. And then like a little chive oil to go on it, and then the biggest thing with this dish was the theatre of the dish, I think.
Because you had the menu that lit up.
That's it. So it was a potion. It was basically a potion for like a medieval cowl. Cowl in Wales is just like broth. So you sort of opened this book, and the broth was there, and it was an ugly bitch of a dish. It was just like, and you look at it and you're like, how do I make you pretty? But you just can't. It's just ugly. But
what I like
really
is so
tasty.
bold to go for like a lamb starter.
Yeah.
You don't normally see that on GBM. I like that.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah.
Everyone normally just beetroot, don't they? Something like everyone goes like,
something lighter.
Especially because that time of year, what the biggest thing is, and people don't realise with GBM, is you film it in November, but your banquet's in like February or March.
Sure.
So you've got to go with something like root veg, or like that's why so many people go for like celeriacs, beetroots, something like that, or nuts and stuff, because it will last. You'll be able to get that in
the same quality
for banquet. So that's why I sort of like scratching my head, like, what do I do here?
We filmed in November, and then the banquet was spring, like May time.
Yeah.
So I was using asparagus and rhubarb and stuff in November, and it was fucking awful. So Glyn took into account when he's judging.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's a difficult part of the competition.
Shine, does it?
It's a difficult one because you've got to either go for, do you want it to bowl the judges over in regionals, and then they'll turn around and say, well, you can't have that in spring. Or do you say, I'll use that in November, knowing it's not going to be at its best, but it will be outrageously good in spring. The show's ace, like as a platform, and for what it does, and actually inspiring a bit of creativity, because I wouldn't have come up with that lamb broth dish.
You wouldn't be putting the chive oil in that tiny little bottle at your restaurant, would you?
I hope I'll never do it again, if I'm honest. But yeah, and it went down well, thankfully. And I didn't realise how well it had gone down, to be honest, because like, you come back into the kitchen, you're like, oh God, everyone's a bit like, yeah, it was all right, chef, yeah, nice. Sure. I mean, even if you've just tasted something a bit shit, you go, yeah, it was nice, chef. So I was like, okay, cool. Bit nervous, and then when they said, it's a 9, I thought it was a bit of a tight 9, if I'm honest. Everyone else gave it a 10, but so I got a 9 for it. I was like, ace, brilliant. I'm in the running here. Like, I'm not going to be. There's going to be somebody that scores lower than that. And all the other dishes were ace. This year, Wales's Heat was ace. It was really good.
I've watched quite a few series, but I felt like the whole overall standard felt like it gone up a bit this year.
In some regions, yeah. Like,
yeah, sure.
But it was dead good. Like Wales shone, because in recent years, like, there's always been like one dead good chef or whatever for Wales. But it's always been like a lower scoring week, whereas
there was
the last few years it's been, and it just shows you how much Wales is coming forward in cooking. Like, it's starting to shine, and like the produce we get is next level, and chefs are taking that on and like really catapulting what we do, and that's really wicked. And So yeah, our week was really strong, and I think any of those chefs that I was competing at would have gone in other regions, would have gone all the way through, no problem, and would have seen them in finals.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
You know, like I say, I didn't want to be the first out. Like Mark, who was out first, his dishes were still fantastic. Like I think he got an 8 for his fish, and he got a 6 or a 7 for his starter. So I mean, like they're good scores for who you're up against, who's judging you.
Yeah.
So. You know, you got like that wasn't like this is real competition.
Who was your chef judge again? I can't remember.
Angela Hartnett.
That's it. Yeah.
And she was fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like she was ace because like there was me cooking whatever you'd call my food. You had Tom cooking very classic French food. You had Larkin cooking really wicked Asian food with like loads bags of flavour, but really different techniques. And Mark was doing like modern British. So it was quite a tough act, I thought. Like she did a really fantastic job of like judging it and like splitting that personality thing and like judging them on their merits because
absolutely
it was tough.
But because she's one of the few judges that have been on it basically every year. But I could sense from her that she was just having the week. She was loving it. It felt like way more. She was a bit more loose. She was just like, it's just all tastes amazing. Like she was just a lot more.
Because she'd tell you if it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
She seemed like she was just having way more fun this time than the previous year.
Yeah, and she was. You know what? I think she enjoyed the food she was given. Like, you know, we've all been to those competitions where you kind of get something and you go, oh no, got to eat this.
You got to be nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't happen on GBM because the standard's too high. But like, you know, if she's judging GBM, she's no doubt judging cooking competitions at colleges or whatever else, and she's doing all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think when she got there, she was like, okay, cool, let's see what the standard is. The canapes went out, first couple of courses went out, and I think she was like, tasty food here. Tasty food. And yeah, it was wicked.
And how was it actually at the banquet, doing it on the day? Was it stressful?
That was shit, that was.
Was it?
It wasn't, to lie.
Okay.
So the TV show shows it, but you had to have two negative COVID tests to go.
Yeah.
So I get 2 tests on the same day. One of them came back as inconclusive, and one of them came back as negative.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not 2 negatives.
Yeah.
So then I had to wait another day to get the second one done as a negative. So what happened was, like, I called the lads at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
So stressful.
And I'm like,
you recorded it like end of January as well, didn't you?
first week of Feb.
Oh, the first week of Feb, yeah.
So
COVID was done then, like fucking.
it was here, yeah.
Yeah, no, Wales. Yeah.
So we're like, I can't travel until I've got this test. So I rung up Cuba at like 8:30 in the morning. As soon as our test results came back, and I'm like, wake him up, and I'm like, hiya, chef. He's like, hello, chef. You everything okay? I'm like, yeah. Do you fancy going to London? And he's like, sorry, again? I'm like, basically, mate, my test results have come back. I can't go. Do you want to go? If that's what you want me to do, chef, yeah, I'll go, no problem. So I put the phone down to him, pick the phone up to Charlie. I'm like, Charlie, you and Cuba are going to London. Do you fancy it? And he's like, well, whatever you want us to do, yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah. So they jumped on a train. So they actually no, because at this time I was like, erring on the side of caution, like, let's not go anywhere because I might have COVID. You know, we'll have had 1 negative, we haven't had 2.
Yeah.
So they shot off to the restaurant, got everything sorted, like literally on the phone, like, how many onions do I need to take? Like, it was class.
Wow.
So they went down there, they got everything set up, and then I turned up on the day. Everything was boxed off. Just strolled through. Had to cook a bit of lamb, and then yeah. Just,
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. But and you know, fair play to GBM and to Avril and the team, and sort of organised rather than them just going like, sorry mate, you're out. You're done. You know, they actually bent over backwards to make sure that we could get there, and they like allowed the boys to go down there and prep it. Or
you go in on the day and being in the shit.
Completely.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have gone.
To make good telly. Yeah.
All right. I can't come.
Get your red pen out. For this.
No, sorry, it says 2 lines. Can't come. So yeah, it was like, yeah, fair play to them for that.
Yeah, because they could have for TV. They could have
gone like, you can't go, son.
Yeah.
And you'd have just had to swallow it. So it was one of them. But yeah, it was good. We got there. I mean, listed building, so we couldn't have a fire in there. So we ended up putting the fire outside on the patio, which meant that we didn't have the 3-minute run that Spencer had for 2 hot courses back to back.
I bet Spencer was jealous though. You had 1 course and you had your boys set up, and he had 2 courses.
Don't worry, they helped him just as much as they are.
Right. That's all right then. That's all right.
That's good to know.
But you know what? Like it wasn't really fair to get 2 courses. And the way that the kitchen was set up, like the kitchen was so. And when I say a 3-minute walk, I'm not exaggerating. Like it was literally a 3-minute walk.
Wow.
And
there was a time with food.
Venue,
Oh, imagine cooking food, sending it from the pass, and it'd be 3 minutes until it gets to you.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Just something sat on the pass down there for 3 minutes.
Wouldn't take that to go from the kitchen downstairs up here to up here. No,
Yeah.
It wouldn't take that long.
So what we did was we had like these big hot cupboards, and you'd have to cook everything, push it in there, and then take it upstairs to carve it or whatever else.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
But no, like having the extra 2 there were like godsends.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it would have only happened the only way it happened is that we had an inconclusive. So a bit of a godsend, really.
Yeah.
Lastly, on this one, did you what was it? It then all went up on TV and stuff. Was it nice for like locals or friends and people in the area, or people coming to your restaurant to talk to you? Did it have like that sort of feel, that spread the love thing?
Massively, like it exploded. And the same day that our regionals went out, it was the same day that a Michelin awarded us our star. And we had the video. Day of a life. It was like a perfect storm. So like 2 days before we'd been awarded a day before we'd been awarded. Like they sent all the special awards out, didn't they? This year?
The opening.
So we got best new opening for Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
So already a big high.
So then everybody's like, oh, here we go. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Who's this little fella? And then then in the following morning, our video that they filmed opened the Michelin Awards. So everybody that was tuning in to watch the Michelin Awards saw our video. Mm-hmm. So then they're like, oh, that's that fella from yesterday. And then they saw us again on the TV that night.
Of course,
As far as like I think you could live a million lifetimes and never have the same day, if I'm honest.
It was like, to coincide like that's amazing.
It was ace. It was just nuts. Like,
that's great.
Emotionally, I don't think we settled down for at least a month or 2.
No.
Yeah,
because it was just shakes your universe up, really.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and have you put elements of what you did there on the menu?
Yeah, sort of, because some of the dishes that we took anyway were quite similar to dishes that we had on the menu. Because like boxing clever, you're going to take something that you're good at, like, and we're good at a bit of fish and a bit of lamb. So like we've got them on. We don't do the whole like GBM menu dish
of course,
because
maybe
we'll do one day. Maybe we'll cook up. A lot of chefs do got the whole menu. As the taste menu.
But I don't suppose you need to market a dish specifically when people are coming because they've seen it and they just want to.
We'll save that one for a rainy day. Like if we do need to pull that one out of the bag, then it's ace.
Get out the little dill oil.
bottles. Get those potion pots out, kids. Have we got some fire? So no, we might do one day, but at the moment, like we're nice and busy. We can't. I sort of say like it's not really a dream come true because you didn't really dream that big in terms of like you don't think you can fill your restaurant for 6 months in advance. That's like off the scale. You dream of a Michelin star because you're kind of thinking of it like that's something you can just screw to the wall and go like that's mine. But you don't dream you don't really dream about that sort of business, do you? Like we want to be 6 months ahead in business.
It's not
like when he comes, you're like, oh my god, how's this happened?
That's amazing.
So. That's next level.
Love it. I think we'll probably skip questions because they're a bit shit anyway. But I reckon we should go on to boiling point. This is one of my favourite bits of the podcast where our chefs tell of the real heat of the kitchen. I want stories of when you've lost your shit or people have lost their shit on you. Who wants to get first?
It's up to you.
You set the pace.
Set the pace. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, this one wasn't actually on my list. I was reminded of this during the refurb. I had all sorts of fucking issues and as you expect anyway. I've for years, I don't know why, it must just be unlucky. I've always had issues and arguments with couriers. Always end up falling out with couriers. Yeah, I know, shock, horror. Yeah. I nearly had a fight with a courier during the whole thing, but I'm not going to go into that story. It reminded me of another one.
That's next week's boiling point.
And at the time, I was phoning Tony parking. I was telling him about it, and he was laughing his head off. And then it was, oh shit! It reminds me of another story. I was at Mallory Court when I nearly had a fight with a courier. And I was telling him, and he was dying. I was like, I've got to do that as a boiling point. It was at Mallory in lunch service, like full on busy, and like, you come through the back kitchen. All the deliveries used to come that way, regardless. Wherever you were in a hotel, they'd fucking come into the kitchen for some reason. Like, no, it's a chair, mate.
Should you get on the pass?
It's fucking
Chair.
Yeah. They come in the back of the kitchen, and this gangster fucking courier guy come in. He had a box. I don't know who it was for, but it had fragile label all over it, and he was like chucking it up in the air. He's like, anyone? I was like, that says fucking fragile on it, dickhead. Anyway, the worst thing you can do, kissed his teeth and calling me a dickhead and that, yeah. It's like, yeah, I fucking am. It's like, it says fragile. It's like glass or something.
The worst thing you can do is kiss his teeth.
Like,
If you're going to Paul like
just
the wrong way,
gets
kiss
you
your teeth.
so irate, that just the level of fucking arrogance to it. And I said to him, like, your job is to deliver this through, and it says fragile. Like, part of your job is to keep it safe, and you're fucking chucking it up in the air. And he was just like, "Just you're going to sign for a while." I took his pen, signed it, and fucked his pen across the kitchen under the sink. I was like, "Go and get it, you fucking rat." I know that's bad, but I've just lost it. And so then he's crawling around under the floor by the garnish section under the sink to try and get his pen.
Oh my God.
I was like, "Hurry up, we're in service, you need to fuck off." He just scurried out the kitchen.
Mate, that is brutal.
Yeah, I was having a bad day, and he just rubbed me up the wrong way.
Could have gone two
sucked
ways.
his
That really,
teeth
couldn't
at
it?
me. Yeah. But he's just calling me a dickhead and that. Yeah. So yeah, I fucking am.
I love
Gangster.
how it stayed with you as well.
Oh god, yeah.
Personally, that's
It
amazing.
was just a beautiful shot with a pen just under the sink, and
I love
so
it.
I ain't getting it for you. Either walk or crawl around for it.
If I'm him, it's a pen. I'm letting the pen go.
Yeah.
I'm just
If it's your last pen, though.
oh, it's your last fucking pen ever.
He's probably lost 3 already that day.
Love it. Nice one. What you got for us, Nathan?
Mine theme seems a bit tame compared to that. There's so many that you. When I saw this was a question, obviously, I'm thinking, there's so many you can't talk about in there. There's so many you're like.
You say that.
Change names and places.
Change names and places.
So I thought I'd go for a reasonably tame one in comparison, really, to some of them. But I was working at this country house hotel like 15 years ago, and there was a new lad on the garnish, and we're doing like trompet mushrooms. As all country houses do. So we're in the fucking weeds, and this place is like, I think we did 32 covers. 32 tables, all twos, and they'd all be on at the same time. It was like worst.
Classic country house.
Yeah. Oh, enjoy a canapé. Yeah, have a canapé in the lounge, and then cruise through when you're ready. Like, who's organising this fucking shit show? So like we've got everything ready to go, and one of the new lads on the garnish was fucking working his garnish, and he's like, everyone's dying, we're all melting. I'm on the larder, which if you imagine like this table being a centre island, it wasn't as posh as a centre island. You had like a half partition, like the old kitchens used to have, where you'd have like stove on one side, with this shitty little wall in the middle.
Yeah.
That you couldn't do anything with, but spectate when it all went bad. So like we're over there getting the larder ready. There's a lad on the garnish, and the chef's on the pass, and he just passes up his garnish, and he just takes one swipe of this like little Forestier style garnish, and it's like mud, and he hasn't washed his mushrooms, and they're just full of shit, and I mean full. And the chef was so angry, like we're just expecting like that pan's going, like it's going to get flinged, like something standard.
Yeah.
But he was that angry that he's just gone like, What are you doing? Like, he's absolutely lost it, completely speechless. Runs across the kitchen to a big stand-up double freezer for like sorbets and ice creams and stuff, and from about 4 yards out, like, has gone for a diving headbutt and headbutted the fridge. And it's like, fucking fridge rocks. The fridge rocks, and it's ready to go. And it's like, bang! And you could tell when he took a step back, he's like, almost knocked himself out.
Fucking up.
But it was like
for somebody else's mistake.
But it was
That's mental.
to be fair, the self-control of not grabbing his hands on that chap, like it obviously it bothered him. So rather than taking it out on this young lad that was new, he'd done the next best thing in his eyes was run at the front, like a 4 yard out, like it was like a proper dolphin, like whap.
Keith
And
Ouch in
it was-
1987 FA Cup final diving header.
Yeah, it was.
the only reference to that goal being made on any podcast in the country.
But he's a big lad, like,
Wow.
20 stone or so, and like he's run at this fridge, and it's like fridge has rocked.
Was it like stunned silence?
Everybody, you could have had a mouse fart. It was like everyone's like,
What just happened?
Did he just do
Did
that?
anyone just see it?
I was inspired. I was like, whoa, fuck it, that's amazing. Everybody's like, it's serious now. It's serious. But that was closest to boiling point I've ever seen anybody, I reckon.
That is
And since then, I have headbutted a fridge, but
It's-
in honour, really, of the moment. But when I saw it, I was like, fuck, that's really bothered him.
But like you say, when even throwing pans and stuff and shouting is sort of bad, but you're sort of used to it.
Have you ever been on the receiving end of a hot pan?
No. But,
It's
but
very
you
bad.
Said, like you said, it almost becomes standard. You said like, it's standard a throwing of a pan, almost like we've all seen it.
He's changed
to
the game.
go past that level to headbutt.
Well, he had to
Never let them know your next move.
Well, he had to walk away from the section because, like, it was the pastry section's fridge that got nutted. So it was like, it was good go. Like, yeah, I do remember it. I was like, that was fucking hell. That was boiling point. That was
He was clearly incredibly angry. And
incredibly.
He didn't unleash that on the guy.
Nobody knew what to do. It was
Yeah,
you know, normally it's like
Never seen it before.
head down, like crack on, like
You're right, chef?
let's make this. That's what. It was like
You need a hug.
there was
Yeah,
there was
like
there was
within
30
yourself.
seconds. Yeah, there was 30 seconds of like definitely seeing stars.
That is incredible.
But yeah, no, it was tough to watch. It was a hard one to watch, if honestly, like
Yeah,
that's
I bet.
and like I say, since then I've definitely nutted a fridge to show anger. But like,
Fair play. Amazing story. Okay, great. Well, let's finish up with any cooking hacks and myths. So this is the part where we can offer people bits of advice of things to do in the kitchen or to stop doing.
Yeah, a new one recently that I've done for years, but I've just never really thought of, and only come to the forefront of my mind because I'd put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like,
You're such a TikToker now.
I know. I'm so I'm
TikTok
40 this year.
I'm trying to get into TikTok. Like it's
Paul will give you a
I'm 40
session
this
for
year,
25 quid
but
an hour. Yeah.
big on TikTok.
well, it's because Instagram's failed for me. So I got hacked and lost the account like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it was amazing fun.
no.
So that was like good for business. Now suddenly, no, not so good for business. So I started that again, and I was like, to get over the hangover of Instagram disappearing on me, I was like, shall I start TikTok? And I opened the account and looked at everybody's TikToks and thought, I think this is a bit above me. Like
Oh, yeah,
the editing and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is
You get
hardcore.
lost in the world of watching it. I'll be laid there in bed like video.
half 4 in the morning, like
Gone,
I've
yeah.
got service in a bit.
But yeah, it's a very strange world. It's different to all the others. I did a poached egg last Monday, right? And it's had like 2.8 million views. It's fucking
Must have been a good egg. Fucking hell.
Great.
It's just a poached
Ostrich
egg.
egg.
Fucking poached egg. Really
Dinosaur egg.
simple. And like, I don't put much effort into the production. Some people go all out. There was a hair on the egg. Like, I think it was like an eyelash or something. And I couldn't be bothered to reshoot it, so I took it off and then took the hair off and then cut it to show people it's fine. I was like, I'm not reshooting that. And then people went mental
Because
about
of the
this.
hair?
Yeah, calling it a pube. And I said, yeah, well, your mum left it around the house. And, so, kind of engaged the trolls a bit. But yeah, after that poached egg, picked up like 35,000 followers from a fucking poached egg.
Mate.
But all I said was
You're a
like...
TikTok influencer, I'm telling you.
It's good going. It's good going, that, isn't it? Must have been a fucking
But
good
then you
egg.
do something like fucking nice from a chef point of view. No one gives a shit.
Slice into a Wellington, shake it like a shitting dog. like, whoa, yes! I'll just leave that there. Like, 3 views.
Pretty much.
Everyone's
Pretty
all over
much.
it.
Yeah, just
Note to self, put a pube on an egg.
the years ago, the Heston technique of cracking it in a sieve, like, it's been groundbreaking. But just not using vinegar. So you don't need vinegar. It's a fresh egg. You just don't need vinegar because vinegar changes the texture too much for me.
Yeah.
It goes a bit grainy, a bit bitty, and the flavour I don't like. And it's just a beautiful poached egg, and people were just fucking mind blown. Like, don't need vinegar.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Nice.
yeah, you just don't need, as long as the egg's fresh.
Yeah,
the water's hot.
it's looser the older the egg, isn't it? The whole
Yeah, it
thing.
just gets a bit looser.
Breaks down and
spreads a
just
bit
becomes
more.
like water.
Yeah, and that's the point of the sieve. Because when I saw Heston do it, I was like, oh, that's mental. Just that watery bit, just you lose, so you keep like the real thick bit of the white, and you don't get all the shit in the water.
It's so simple.
And I put salt in the water as well. Like, so many people are like, you shouldn't. It's like, yes, salt does break down the protein, but not that quickly.
Yeah.
Not in a poached egg.
So it's to season it.
Yeah, just
that point.
you had seasons in layers. Yeah.
I don't honestly remember the last time I poached an egg.
Really?
Serious, yeah.
Interesting.
It's not often I do it.
It's going to have been
We
a
don't do
few years
breakfast.
ago.
It's a bit of a faff though, isn't it? Like, at home, you're just fucking hell. No,
The amount of people at home, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Microwave, 45 seconds.
Oh,
perfect.
jeez.
Wrap it in cling film and drop it in the water.
My mum used to do that. Those little dishes, those little poached egg dishes.
yeah.
You put it in the microwave, it would pop
Yeah.
in the middle, and it'd just be like this blister of orange in the middle. Oh, it's horrendous.
So what? The white's raw, but the fucking yolk is cooked.
Oh, honestly, it was like burnt orange in the middle, and then like fleshy around the outside. Fucking
Class.
Horrendous. Any hacks or myths you can help us with?
Yeah, a couple of chips with when we're saying barbecuing, like we were talking earlier about coals and that, but the biggest thing that's the most annoying thing to watch in the world is people that burn on charcoal that's not cooked yet. Like it's when it's black. And it's just like a bit of fire. Stuff like that. Put that to bed. Let it burn right out to embers until it's
White.
there's nothing left. White. Stock it up again and do that a couple of times. So I burn littler batches, but more often to build up a good bed of fire. So don't put like the whole bag on and then light it and be like, we'll have a barbecue in 14 hours. Just chuck a handful on, and for the love of all that is mighty, do not light it with fluid.
Fuck yeah.
Or any of these firelighters that aren't.
Yeah.
You can get the good ones now that are made of like natural materials, like the beeswax
or
or
straw. Sort of thing,
they're ace because they don't taste like anything.
Yeah,
but
when you put people lighter fluid all over it,
Yeah.
who's going to taste that shit?
They left the grill pan on and they're doing it through that.
Perfect,
Classic.
even better.
Yeah.
But like, little batch, like you know, a scoop or two, let it burn. Another scoop, burn, and then you're into a good fire very quickly.
That's good.
And you're gonna get your barbecue sorted rather than filling the whole bed of the barbecue in like your coal for the day.
Yeah.
Then when you need to top it up, you've got nothing. But
Yeah, that's what I'd find.
Little
With
and
the,
often.
even with the little conros,
Yeah.
you fill it up. There's no oxygen flowing through it either,
Yeah.
so it's not going. When I started using them, it's obviously we just kind of found doing the same. Just get it light in, add a bit, and you just get a good fire going.
Oh, yeah, that's a good tip. I would not have known that.
Yeah.
Love it. Excellent place to end, I think. Thanks again so much to Gusborns for providing us with today's nightcap. You can go to their website now. It's gusborn.com. You can find out about all their different various wines, vintages. Place your orders now, wherever you are, however you're listening. Thanks so much for downloading. Nathan, thanks so much for making this work as well, because I know it was a bit of an awkward one today to make it work, but so
thank
glad
you.
you could come down.
Yeah, no, thank you. Glad you came down.
Yeah,
Thank you very
you're a
much.
favourite. You're a Stratford-upon-Avon local now. You're doing podcasts here. You're doing GBM here.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be doing GBM next year. Like,
Well, thanks so much for coming. Really
Wicked.
appreciate it.
Thank
We'll
you.
have a quick cheers
Cheers.
to end the pod. Cheers, mate.
cheers.